Welcome to DRC Live, powered in part by the Denton Record Chronicle and Classic of Denton.
Hello, I'm Lucinda Breeding, the features editor at the Denton Record Chronicle.
I'm Jenna Duncan. I'm the business editor over at the Denton Record Chronicle, and this is our weekly show, DRC Live, where we fill you in on what's happening in business news and entertainment and help you maybe start to plan your weekend sometimes. So, yeah. So our theme of the day is kind of focusing on like what you and your littles can do and stuff for your children. So I'm going to start. I don't know if you guys saw. I would encourage you to read the story, though, about Half-Pint Boutique that's opening on the square. I've teased it a few times here, but I finally interviewed the new owners. So it's this couple. Their names are Sally and Scott Cotter. They have an 8-month-old boy named Charlie. And when they were starting to do the whole shopping experience for what they wanted for their kid and trying to find more like natural products and stuff that's a little bit higher end, they were having problems finding any of that locally in Denton. And these two are like the quintessential like Denton business owners now. Sally and Scott met when they were in the same 4th grade class at Woodrow Wilson Elementary School.
Oh my gosh.
And they went to middle school and high school together. They never got together. They were always good friends. They lived 2 streets apart, and their moms were really good friends. And they both went off to separate colleges. They both wanted to come back after graduation. Sally was a teacher, and so she wanted to come back and teach in her home school district. Scott did some management stuff, so he came back to, and he was like, hey, I think I'm going to just go ahead and double down and just buy a house for the investment in Denton. This was like late 2000s, and he was like, do you want to be my roommate, since they knew each other and they were both coming back to the area. They started as roommates, then they ended up getting together, and now they're married and have their little boy Charlie. And so it's like a very
really sweet story.
I know, it's a fairy Denton story too. It's really cute.
It is.
And so they decided. They had been waffling on this idea for a while. After Sally had Charlie last year, she decided she didn't want to go back to work full time while he was still so little. And so she decided to leave, and she wasn't sure what her next step was going to be. But she had kind of always wanted to be a boutique owner. And growing up here and seeing the growth on the square, she really wanted something on the square. And so 2 days after Christmas, her mom passed away suddenly. And she was like, she said for them, it was just like a moment that it was like, we have to do what we want, and we need to just live like as full as we can.
Hit the gas or hit the brake, not at the same time.
Yeah. And Scott's mom, I didn't get this in the story either, but Scott's mom had actually passed away when he was in 7th grade from breast cancer.
Oh, okay.
And so whenever there were big life moments, like a red cardinal would come into their yard. So on the day that he proposed, the red cardinal was in the backyard. The day they got married, the red cardinal was in the backyard. The day that Charlie was born, the red cardinal was in the backyard. And then the day after Sally's mom died, they were getting ready to go start doing arrangements. And as they were backing out of their driveway, 2 red cardinals smacked into their car. 2 of them.
I'm getting chills.
I know. So it's so crazy. So they were like, this is crazy. So they're starting through this process, and Sally's like, you know what, I'm going to pull the trigger, because they saw that this space had opened where Knee Deep Plumbing was, and they were like, we just need to do it. But it's such a big decision, and she felt like she might be being brash. And on the day that they had to have the decision for the lease, Sally and Scott woke up, and they were having coffee, and they looked in the backyard, and the 2 red cardinals were there. So they decided to sign the lease.
And they weren't fighting.
No.
And they weren't smacking into a car.
Yeah, they were just hanging out. And so they were like, okay, we have to do it. So you'll see it in their logo. They have Small Pint, and they have 1 red cardinal as the dot, and then 1 on the side of the logo. So Half-Pint is labor of love. It's really beautifully curated stuff. My best friend just had a baby, and so I was in there, and I was like, well, I need to buy all of this, obviously. They have some all natural products. So they have a couple of product lines that they had really liked when Charlie was an infant, and that they still use with him, but that weren't available for purchase locally, had to go to South Lake or go online. So that's like Noodle and Boo, and also Sally Adler soaps. And it's a little bit higher price. So I would say it's kind of like a boutique like in the Nordstrom's range.
That's what I was thinking, Nordstrom's.
Where you can get a really cute dress for $25 to $50, but it might be more. It's a Nana store, one of my friends said, where if you're a grandma or you're an aunt and you want to see your loved one's little one in a special outfit, that's where you're going to go.
I love that, a Nana store.
I know.
I'm going to remember that. That's
I had never heard that, but I thought it was a really good.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So special occasion stuff, but there's a lot of different outfits. They carry from newborn to 5 toddler. Then they also have like the accessories, product lines. They have a gift wrapping station. They have a little popcorn machine. The whole thing is really adorable. And they are opening on Monday, April 1st.
Okay. All right.
So right around the corner. Their hours are going to be 11 a.m. to 6, Wednesday and Thursday, 11 to 7 on Fridays and Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sundays. And then the following weekend, the weekend of April 7th, they're going to do a grand opening where they have mimosas and the fresh pop popcorn. And it'll be a chance to meet the owners and kind of get a feel for what the store is. So that's a new retail option that we're going to have on the square, and will be the first locally owned children's store that we have since Small Fry closed last year.
Yeah. You know, it's funny how I hear this story in Denton often where, you know, yes, this is a college town, and college is this really, I think for a lot of people, sort of like the moment in your life when you like really become independent and you become an adult. And I know a lot of people have sort of maybe even romanticized notions about the place where they went to college.
Yeah.
But over and over, I come across people in Denton in my work for the newspaper who came here, you know, and fell in love with the town because they were going to college here and then just didn't want to leave. This is kind of neat that it's a little bit of that in reverse.
It's reverse.
They grew up here.
Ready to leave.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they left, they're like, wait.
Yeah.
I miss home.
Yes.
I want to be back.
That's really cool.
I know. What do you have going on for kids?
Well, as it happens, this week we will be providing a link to our online form. And this online form is for schools, clubs, churches, organizations who are planning summer camps or activities for children and teens.
I can't believe it's that time of year already.
I know. Yeah,
we're thinking about it.
I know. I'm like, wow, we really are in the middle of March. But so what we're inviting, whether you're, a club, an organization, a church, any one of those, if you're UNTTW and you are planning either a summer camp or, a sort of a 2-day activity, or even like sort of something that's happening for a few hours. What we're asking folks to do is fill out this form, and we're looking for a lot of different types of activities. If you're a yearly habitual reader, you'll kind of already be acquainted with this, but it's activities that are in sports, performing arts, visual arts, music, and we've also really been expanding our listings of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics type camps. I would say over the last 5 years, I've seen those types of the STEM camps and the STEM activities really sort of expanding and proliferating through our libraries, through parks and recreation. If you don't know about Denton Parks and Recreation, it's easy to walk around in Denton Parks and be like, wow, we're just out here on the prairie. There's a playground in the prairie. But the recreation centers in Denton have classes and activities for the whole family, but they really have a lot of programming for children. They also, this is really important. Something that you can do through our Parks and Recreation department is get your children into swimming lessons.
Yes.
And those are going to be opening very soon. But, there are a lot of people who might be like, is there like a Legos camp for my kid? Is there anything happening that my kid can do with a telescope? So we're going to be publishing our annual summer camps for kids and teens. This year it's going to be Thursday, April 18th. This Google form, it's going to be an online form. It's going to be live probably before the end of the day today, but it'll be live tomorrow. And I'll have a story in Denton Time about that tomorrow, just letting people know that it's time. If you've got something and you want to get it in our giant listings, now is the time to get it in. And we'll have we haven't totally agreed on the deadline for this yet, but that will be a part of our publication. But for organizations and anybody who's planning these and you want to get it out there in the public eye, keep an eye out in your paper tomorrow or online at dentonrc.com. Click on Denton Time, and it will take you to the stories that are posting and publishing that day. Our day is always Thursday. And then for parents and grandparents and other adult guardians who are going to have littles or, preteens and teens that are going to be kind of looking for something to do this summer, especially if you're working. Sometimes you really need to figure out, what am I going to do with the littles while I'm at work? Just keep your eyes peeled for that April 18th edition of our Summer Fun Guide is what I'm calling it. So
fun.
Yeah.
And I know we really do with the universities and the Parks and Recs department. We have like prolific offerings.
We do.
And I'm really surprised by some of them. Like there's specialized camps for kids with like cerebral palsy.
Yes, there are.
At TWU.
Yes, and culinary camps at TWU.
I was about to say that, like full cooking programs, like
absolutely,
for kids, for you to be on MasterChef Junior.
There you go. Yeah.
Which has happened. We've had kids from the area on
We
that
have
show.
had kids from the area on Kids MasterChef or the baking show with Valerie Bertinelli.
Lots of them.
Yeah. So,
but this is a great way to to look and figure out what your kids' interests are. And if you don't necessarily know how to parent that, or if there's something that they're really into and you don't know the best way to teach them, finding the camp for them is going to really be their gateway into figuring out what they like and learning more about what they care about.
For sure.
Instead of just sending them to a generic summer camp where, maybe you like 1 out of 5 things you do that day, which are my memories of summer camp, where I'm like,
macrame.
I know, like, send me into the pool again when I'm allergic to chlorine. Great. I'm so excited about it. Like, I'm going to feel awful. But yeah, really like specialized stuff we have. So we're pretty lucky for that.
And since we have name checked Texas Women's University, if you've got kids who are interested in marching band, or if you've got your kids in band programs in the public school system, University of North Texas has it feels like such an enormous number of like very specific camps for instruments.
Yes.
And some of them are actually, I say marching band because Texas is such a major football. I can't even get football out of my mouth.
You live in Texas.
Yes. My family they're Kentucky people, so basketball's their thing. But no, this is such a football region, and so when you think music and school, you do think of marching band. Mm-hmm. But you can also find, orchestral music camps in Denton at University of North Texas. Both of our universities have a lot of offerings, and also the Greater Denton Arts Council. Denton Community Theater, they have programming for children and teens in the summer. So just keep your eyes open for that. If you're an organization, a school, you'll have all you need to get that information to us. And if you're a grandparent, parent, adult guardian, just keep your eyes peeled in April for this bonanza of programming.
Bonanza, I like that word.
And I actually got that out of my mouth.
The other thing with kids is I think that we're pretty lucky to have the Golden Triangle Mall, which has some indoor play stuff. And
that's right.
That's right. So when it's really hot, like you have somewhere for your kids to just like run free inside.
Yes.
And the mall was the cover of the Denton Business Chronicle today. So if you haven't picked up a paper today, we have a monthly section. It's called the Denton Business Chronicle. I normally do a kind of deeper take on a story for the cover of it. And then we have a whole column about catching you up, what's open and what's closed. So all the businesses that have opened and closed in the past month, if you're not keeping up with our website daily, it's really good curated content. We have business listings, so people who are filing permits to start new businesses, places that have gotten their certificates of occupancy, lots of good stuff in there. But the cover story is about the mall. We're having some issues just because I'm sure you've heard like tons of national retailers are closing any and all branches, which I was talking to the mall manager, Matt Ludeman, earlier this week, and he's like, well, our store was top in the region, but it doesn't matter because they're not going Payless and Charlotte Russe aren't going to stay in operation because 1 out of 100 stores is performing really well. You just have to cut and run.
Wow.
So they're working on getting some new uses in there. And then what's exciting, since Sears closed at the end of August,
That's right.
it's been empty. And a lot of people have been asking, and I've written it a few times, that the mall can't do anything about it because Sears owns that space.
Oh, that's right.
So the
That's
mall
right.
cannot lease it out. Like, no matter how many prospects they have,
right.
it's stuck in bankruptcy court. Well, Weitzman Group, the owner of the mall, is really making progress on negotiating to buy back that property.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so potentially by the end of the year, we could have that split into 2 uses.
Wow.
Matt said we have a handful of businesses that are really interested, especially with that location where you can have the business name right outside with the visibility from 35, and that new on-ramp dumps them into the parking lot.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
So, you know, we're in a transitional period, but we should be getting some announcements soon. He said in the next 30 to 60 days, we can expect a handful of new announcements for what will be taking over where Payless is leaving and a couple of other spots are leaving. And then hopefully by the end of the year, that big hole that was left there by Sears is going to be able to be filled. But I think it's important for people to remember
it's not the mall's property.
The mall can't do anything about it. The property is owned by Sears. Sears is in bankruptcy court. The property is part of that filing. But this means that the mall does have more time to try to curate like what the right use for that space is and really be imaginative and bring things that will be new to market and expand what the business offerings are there. So,
you know what? I wanted to piggyback on that too because we're talking about kids stuff. It was really great to see Explorium Denton, which is the local children's museum. It has a maker space. It's got learning centers. You know, it hasn't been open that long, but over spring break, they were really packed. So I am expecting Explorium Denton to be doing a pretty big, like just a lot of business and just a lot of programming through the summer. It's
Definitely.
You know, that really told the tale for me that, you know, here we are in spring break when people have a block of time and kids not programmed to do anything. And a bunch of people got in the car, and apparently everybody liked to go out in the morning.
Yeah.
Because the Explorium Denton was like, feel free to visit us in the afternoon.
We're open all day, don't worry.
But that tells the tale for me that, you know, I've always heard that, you know, in a growing community, sometimes there really does seem to be like just a dearth of family-friendly activities. And again, I'll plug Denton Parks and Recreation because they have year-round programming. But at the same time, it's not for every family.
Right.
And not every family necessarily wants to do the class thing. But you know how the Penny's Playhouse over in the same shopping center. So it'll be interesting to see, especially with the mall going through its evolution, what, if anything, families will find in these spaces that are getting repurposed.
Yeah, especially because I think that the mall is really like child and family focused too. They always do the trick or treat event.
They do, yeah.
They do overnight lock-ins for all of the Girl
That's
and Boy
right.
Scouts, where they have literally thousands of kids in sleeping bags on the floors. So they're very mindful of making sure that they're a family-friendly place, and then they have plenty of space to run, and you're not getting overheated in the Texas summer.
That's true.
And
and
another
also,
indoor playscape. That's
and
free.
during the school year, especially as we get closer to the holidays, you also see the mall sponsoring a lot of choir performances and things like that. So they've been very family-minded.
Yes, definitely. So I think that's it for our update on kids and fun and businesses. Be sure to check out the Denton Record Chronicle and DentonRC.com tomorrow for that form if you have any ideas of what programming is happening this summer. And tune back in next Wednesday at 2 p.m. on Denton Live.
That's it for us. We'll see you.
That's it for us.
See you next week.
Have a good day.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.